Following in the footsteps of a game as addictive as top-down roguelite shoot-'em-up Vampire Survivors, Vampire Hunters attempts to bring that same Moorish, over-the-top chaos into the world of the 3D first-person shooter genre. With hordes of undead monsters to battle in arenas that become more claustrophobic the better you perform, Vampire Hunters succeeds more often than it doesn't, but there are still some demons it struggles to overcome. Vampire Hunters sees players adopt the role of one of several demon-slaying badasses, the Hunters of the title, and set about dispatching an ever-growing ensemble of creepy ghosts, zombies, monsters, and of course vampires in a roguelite shooter that, much like its Survivor's forebearer, allows players to stack a ridiculous amount of weapons and perks on top of one another to create the perfect death-dealing build. By mixing and matching a variety of weapons, relics, and animalistic familiars, players can create a nearly unlimited amount of unique builds to face off against the waves of enemies spewing forth from each level's Iron Maidens in Vampire Hunters Survivor mode, while a classic mode sees players doing the same, except this time following a critical path down a corridor hot on the trail of Count Dracula himself. There is tons of joy to be had by firing up a new run and steadily piecing together a 14-weapon strong build to eradicate the many different varieties of undead monsters you'll face. Weapons feel distinct from each other, and the various perks and upgrades that improve attributes like reload speed and damage spice things up further. The unlockable upgrades and skill trees provide meaningful character progression between rounds, and I found myself gravitating towards the perks that would further reduce my reload times, allowing me to maximize my damage per second. Furthermore, collectible constellations can be used to add powerful modifiers to your runs, my favourite being the constellation that makes all weapon and relic choices completely random in exchange for an overall 10% damage boost. There is a lot of carnage on screen at any one time, but the simplistic visuals and the grunt of the PS5 meant that Vampire Hunters runs without a hitch, even employing Obi-Wan Kenobi's strategy of taking the higher ground before funneling the masses of shuffling vamps into my kill zone couldn't shake the rock-solid performance. Where Vampire Hunters does feel rough though is in its front end. Menus are clunky with little to no guidance on the various upgrade currencies or how to use them, and simply navigating between the many tabs is cumbersome and surprisingly doesn't take advantage of the bumpers to cycle through pages like in many other games. It makes finding, unlocking, and applying the buffs and upgrades that are essential to success in Vampire Hunters more convoluted than it should be. During gameplay, movement can also become a stumbling block thanks to that extra third dimension. With so much happening on screen, players can quickly become overwhelmed by enemies and entire rounds sacrificed thanks to imprecise movement up or down ramps or from getting snagged on the scenery. This problem isn't exclusive to survival mode either, as I discovered when I found myself caught on the wall of the boss area during a classic mode run, with a confusing button prompt telling me to use the left shift button to sprint, failing to aid me as I looked down at my PS5 DualSense controller. Vampire Hunters is another pick up and play hit that provides plenty of gameplay variety and that same just one more go mentality as its two-dimensional inspiration. If you can overcome some poor UI decisions and overlook the occasional 3D movement issue, then there's a lot to enjoy from stacking tons of weapons on top of each other and tearing through the undead. If you fancy picking up Vampire Hunters yourself, the game releases on PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, Xbox and PC today, the 30th of October 2024. If you've enjoyed this review of Vampire Hunters, then please give the video a like below and be sure to hit subscribe to be notified of more great content from JHT. If you're looking for more expert reviews, then check out what we thought of retro boomer shooter Killing Time Resurrected and new indie fighter Blazing Strike. I've been Theo for JHT, thank you for watching.